Welcome to This Explainer. We're going to dive into a pretty profound meditation, one that was written by a man right on the edge of eternity. And really, it gets at a fundamental question. What's the single most important thing to focus on when you know your time is up?
So, these were some of the last words ever spoken by the 17th century theologian John Owen. He said them on August 24, 1684, the very day he died. And who was he talking to? The friend who was literally at that moment getting his final book ready for publication, the very book we're exploring today.
To really get what he's saying in his final work, The Glory of Christ, you have to understand the context. I mean, this was not some abstract theological paper. This was the final, focused thought of a man staring his own mortality right in the face.
What's fascinating is that Owen himself said he wrote these meditations for his own benefit at first. He was using this process of writing to prepare his own soul for what he knew was coming. It's this deeply personal journey that he then decided to share as, his last gift to the world.
All right, so what is this glory that Owen was so consumed by in his final days? What was this thing that he said he was about to see in another manner?
For Owen, this was anything but a vague, shiny concept. The glory of Christ was the whole package, the sum total of his divine nature, his work, his person, all of it, as it's revealed in the Scriptures. In his mind, it was the ultimate thing for the human heart and mind to lock onto.
And he breaks it down into these incredible parts. It's the mystery of who he is, his role as a bridge between God and us, his ultimate victory, his relationship to believers, and the completion of his entire mission. To Owen, this whole reality was way, way more glorious than the entire physical universe.
But here's the thing, even as he's laying all this out, he comes at it with this incredible humility. Owen is super quick to say, hey, even with our best efforts, our most intense focus, we can only ever hope to grasp the tiniest fraction of what this is all about.
Okay, let's get into the core of this, because at the heart of Owen's meditation is this really dramatic story about humanity's fall and its almost unbelievable restoration.
I mean, just look at the massive contrast he presents here. He argues that our human nature, which he saw as disgraced and groveling in the dust because of sin, was ultimately lifted up in Christ to a status higher than any other created being. Yup, even higher than the angels.
And this is the crucial point, right? This isn't about humanity patting itself on the back. It's about finding our ultimate value and honor in what was done for our nature in Christ. It's a total recentering of where we find our worth.
Okay, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds incredibly grand, cosmic, theological. But what does it have to do with paying the bills, or getting sick, or dealing with loss? Well, Owen's answer is what makes this so powerful. He believed this was the most practical thing in the world.
You see, for Owen, contemplating this glory wasn't some escape from reality. It was the exact opposite. It was the ultimate stronghold for the human heart in a world that is just full of trouble. He even called it the universal remedy.
And he's not talking about abstract problems. He lists the very things we all deal with: afflictions, fears, sickness, financial struggles, the chaos of the world. He was convinced that by fixing our minds on this eternal, unshakable glory, all these earthly problems could be seen for what they are: light and momentary. So thinking about this becomes like this mental and spiritual retreat. It's a place you can go to find rest, to get your footing again, and to be reminded of a bigger reality that isn't shaken by the temporary storms of life. It's the ultimate source of resilience. And in the end, Owen brings it all right back to where he started, his own approaching death. He argues that this focus is the single most important preparation for facing our own end without being the slave to fear. And he actually gives us this brilliantly practical four-step guide for it. First, he says you resign the soul. You consciously commit your spirit into God's care. Second, you release the flesh. You willingly accept that your body is returning to dust, but you do it with hope. Third, you accept the timing. You let go of the when and the how. And finally, you find a prospect. You fix your eyes on the glory you're headed towards.
So after all of this, what's the big idea we're supposed to walk away with from this 17th century theologian's last thoughts? What should we carry with us?
Even people back then got how much power was packed into this tiny book. One of his contemporaries, a guy named Mr. Hervey, put it perfectly. He said it might be small in size, but not in value, that it could enlighten the eyes and cheer the heart.
So it all boils down to this. Owen's final argument is simple, but it's profound. The best way to get ready for the future,
both the trials of life and the certainty of death, is to have your mind already preoccupied with this one transcendent subject. It's a call to find an anchor that will hold, no matter what.
And that really leaves us with a huge question for our own time, doesn't it? In a world that is constantly pulling our attention in a million different directions, that bombards us with info and distractions, what kind of power are we missing out on by not having a single, ultimate, and glorious focus?